Hello everyone. My name is Susan. I'm with the New Rochelle Public Library and I'm joining you now so we can have some fun with the finger play of the day. This finger play happens to be one of my favorite stories and I hope you enjoy it too. Once upon a time there were two good friends, Mr. Wiggle and Mr. Waggle. And they lived in identical houses. And when Mr. Wiggle wanted to go into his house, he opened the door, he went inside, and he closed the door. And when Mr. Waggle wanted to go into his house, he opened the door, he went inside, and he closed the door. Well, one day, Mr. Wiggle decided he wanted to visit Mr. Waggle. So he opened the door, he went outside, and he closed the door. And he started up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill, the hill and down the hill and up the hill, until he got to Mr. Waggle's house. And he went knock, 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 but there was no answer. So he called, "Oh, Mr. Waggle, are you home?" But there was no answer. So Mr. Wiggle went back up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill, the hill and down the hill, up the hill and down the hill, until he got home, where he opened the door, he went inside and closed the door. Well, the very next day, Mr. Waggle decided he would visit Mr. Wiggle. So he opened his door, he went outside, he closed the door, and he started up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill, the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down, until he got to Mr. Wiggle's house. And he knocked on the door, knock, knock, knock. There was no answer. So he called, "Oh, Mr. Wiggle, are you home?" No answer. So Mr. Waggle went up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill, the hill and down the hill, until he got home, where he opened the door, went inside, and closed the door. The very next day, Mr. Wiggle and Mr. Waggle decided to visit each other at the same time. So they both opened the door, they went outside and closed their doors, and they started up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill, the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill, until they met in the middle, and they were so happy. They rolled down the hill, and then they climbed back up, and they rolled down the hill, and they climbed back up. They had so much fun, and they told each other all the news of the day and all the news of the week and shared many wonderful stories. Then they gave each other a big hug and they waved goodbye and they returned up the hill and down the hill, the hill and down the hill, up the hill and down the hill, the hill and down the hill, up the hill, until they got home, where they both opened their doors, they went inside and closed the door. And the next time Mr. Wiggle wanted to visit Mr. Waggle, or Mr. Waggle wanted to visit Mr. Wiggle, do you know what they did? They used the telephone, or sometimes they emailed, and they even texted. But they always had a lovely visit. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See you later.